This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we're dealing with putting a boot back onto a front load washing machine. This is just the last part of the boot installation where you put on the boot onto the front panel and you put on the retention ring. So we're going to put a little liquid soap on this retention ring to make it kind of slippery, and that actually makes it easier to put on when we put it back on the rubber boot. If you don't put the lubricant on, it kind of gets stuck and it makes it much harder to actually put back onto the boot. So we'll get that nice and slippery. You could even use like hand soap, would work fine too. And we're going to make sure that the rubber lip of this boot is back on the front panel. So we have to lift up the boot a little bit and have it sit down. It has a groove in it that's going to sit down onto a metal ridge that goes around the circumference of the opening. We got to make sure that that rubber boot has been pulled out a little bit and then put onto that lip so it's securely in position all the way around the perimeter. You just take your time. I'm pulling it out a little bit, putting it over the ridge, and then pushing it back in. And if you've done a good job with this prior to putting on the retention ring, you're going to have a lot easier time. But if the boot is not really back on that ridge and you start trying to put on the retention ring, the whole boot will fall back off, which is no fun. So take your time here and just make sure that that rubber ridge on the inside of that boot goes back over that metal ridge on the front panel. Especially over here by the left side near the hinge is kind of tight quarters, so make sure it's all the way back on. You're going to grab the retention ring at the top, put it at the 12 o'clock position in the groove, and then pull down with your right and left hand. Pull down and out and get the spring over the 6 o'clock position at the bottom, and then push the spring over. This machine, this was actually pretty easy. Sometimes there's so much spring tension that it's going to take a lot of force, and you might want to use a standard head screwdriver to help you. This one went on pretty easily, and there we go. So it looks good. And thanks so much for watching. Hope this helps, and please subscribe to the channel when you get a chance.